JFK Stadium, the promised land.
Let me get this straight.
Pure, glorious stupidity.
I can verify every word he says. Loyalty should have been handed to me.
Follow me! Oh fuck, here we go again.
MADCAST is recorded before a live studio audience.
Welcome to MADCAST. This episode, we explore the 1981 Philadelphia Rolling Stones riot. According to news reports at the time, a small group of fanatical Stone fans caused a large crowd to rush the gate, resulting in near riot conditions. Although it is a well-known incident in the annals of rock and roll history, the perpetrators have never been identified until now. Take it away, Larry.
What really happened at the Rolling Stones concert on September 26, 1981 at JFK Stadium in Philadelphia? To answer that, we got to rewind the VHS tape of history back to the Logan Station subway stop. That's where it all started. Several hours before authorities decided to play adult and slam the gate shut. Spoiler alert. Didn't work. Picture it, 4 teenage jackasses armed with a styrofoam cooler and zero foresight descending into the grime-coated, urine-flavored underworld of the Philadelphia subway system. Beers in hand, brains in neutral. For legal and poetic reasons, we're just going to call these geniuses Joe, Marshall, and two brothers, Robert and Larry. Because that sounds like a band of idiots you drink with, but not trust with your car.
Was that Joe Hogan? The
Yes.
Hogans that our entire family got in a fight with their entire family? That Hogans?
Yes, that's another whole episode. Oh, the platform was a real postcard from hell. Dim lights, trash tornado, that cocktail of marijuana haze, cigarette funk, and fragrance de pee. The walls looked like they'd been licked by pollution and regret, except one pristine rectangle where some brave soul had stolen the subway sign, probably as a graduation gift.
Anyone know who might be in possession of that subway sign right now?
Oh, I believe it's you, right, Larry?
It might be the Larry from the story, but...
I remember going on the Washington, D.C., we call it the Metro here, the Metro for the first time, and not smelling pee and thinking, how do they do that? How is that possible? That's all I remember for being on that Broad Street line was that acrid smell of human urine permeating the entire tunnel.
Like you're living in a cat house.
You can forgive the cats. Well, let's get back to the subway station.
Cue the southbound train, man.
Screeching in like a banshee on bath salts. Our heroes board the train crammed with sweaty humanity, all heading to the same sacred temple, JFK Stadium, where the Stones were set to raise the dead. Scalpers were barking like carnival huskers. $50 for a ticket that only cost $16. But our boys, no ticket, no problem. They blew their cash on Budweiser and bad ideas, planning to hang outside and soak in the sonic leftovers. That plan doesn't last.
And this is a true story, right?
Very true story.
Rob, can you verify that?
I can verify every word he said.
Once off the train, they hoofed it to the stadium, past the front, but then snaked around to the southwest corner. And there, like Moses announcing the Ten Commandments, came the opening riffs of the opening act, George Thorogood, clear as a bell. Maybe these idiots weren't in the show, but they were in the zone. And there, as if put there by God, was a wall. Our heroes cracked open beers like they were christening a ship, leaned against the cold concrete, and one by one climbed up. Eyes wide, ears buzzing, hearts pounding like Keith Richards' guitar riffs. One bourbon, One scotch, one beer echoed across the Philly night. And in the moment, the four teenage misfits weren't just outside the concert, they were part of it.
I've certainly had many moments like that where you just feel like you won. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, we did it. We took a risk. We got here. This is great. And it always is preceded by some sort of spectacular failure.
You would think failure, but these are drunken revolutionaries. So there they were, perched on the wall, like kings of the dumbasses. Beneath them stretched a steep, inviting hill. At the bottom, an asphalt access road. That road had vanished through a gate, and beyond the gate, JFK Stadium, the promised land. Marshall, stoned and inspired, looked at the hill and said what every kid with a death wish at least once says, man, this would be perfect for sledding. Joe, never the one to let a dumb idea go uncelebrated, replied, hell, you could sled right down and straight into the goddamn concert. They all chuckled, the kind of chuckle you share when you know you're not actually going to do a thing. But Robert had that look, that barely visible beer-powered light bulb over his head. Now, granted, it was broad daylight and the bulb wasn't exactly brilliant. We're talking about 15 watts, but a light bulb nonetheless. Robert slammed back the rest of his beer like it owed him money, tossed the can behind him like a rock star throwing roses, and shouted, "Stones for free." The sermon had begun. We all got to do this. Run down the hill and we're in. It's wide open. Marshall, playing the voice of reason, a role he was deeply unqualified for, muttered, "You'll never make it." But Robert wasn't hearing it. He had that look, that glazed, beer-goggled stare of a man who had just made peace with stupidity. He stepped up, full preacher mode, now arms in the air like Moses parting the tailgate party. We can do this. Rush the gate. They can't stop all of us. Who's with me? And just like that, without even waiting for the congregation to say amen, leapt off the wall. Seconds before he hit the grass, Joe casually offered, "He'll never make it." Marshall followed with, "No shit." And Larry, shaking his head like this wasn't the first time Robert had thrown himself at the mercy of law enforcement, sighed, "Oh, fuck, here we go again." Robert, now full sprint, managed about 20 heroic yards before realizing something crucial. He was the only one charging.
Let me get this straight. So Rob's leading this charge, free stones, and he leaps off and screams something to the effect of, "Follow me."
Yeah, let's go.
You guys just sit back and what? Crack another beer?
Yeah, well, everybody. Well, he also.
Now, wait a minute. Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
There's a little bit of a loyalty that should have been handed to me. Thank you.
About 20 yards later, 7 guys in red security shirts who clearly been waiting for this exact flavor of dumbass piled on him like a rugby team with unresolved anger issues. Rob was being frog marched back up the hill and tossed over the wall like yesterday's recycling.
Here we go.
Are you
Here
sure?
we go.
Back over the wall, Robert wasn't mad. He was disappointed. So naturally, he launched into another speech. A strange hybrid of Braveheart and Bluto from Animal House, standing on the wall like a deranged motivational speaker with a head injury bellowing, "You pathetic cowards. Are you Rolling Stones or Hall & Oates fans?" That's a bold insult in Philly. All we got to do is jump the wall and rush the gates. They can't stop us if we're united. Stones for free. By now, about 150 people had joined in chanting, hyping themselves up for something none of them actually were prepared to do. And then, like the worst sequel ever, Rob made his second run. He had to do it twice.
Larry.
I said you rushed the gates, you didn't make it, and you rushed the gates a second time. That was
He's trying to say you got tenacity.
Got about 15 yards before the red shirt brigade spotted him, charging like rent-a-cops on a mission to protect a parking lot. And that's when it happened. The moment of pure, glorious stupidity. Joe, Marshall, and Larry leapt off the wall in perfect beer-fueled unison and joined the charge. What happens next is a little fuzzy, depending on who's telling the story. Marshall and Larry claim thousands followed. History was made. The ever buzzkill news said maybe 50 people made the jump.
Was that actually in the news?
Yeah, you can do a Google search. There were reports of it.
All right.
The gang was met with a new kind of welcome committee, the mounted police. The cops weren't subtle. They cracked a few skulls, just enough to get the crowd's attention.
I remember when Philly police used to act that way. And if you went to a concert, there was a risk that there'd be a wall of mounted police horses coming at you, with cops sitting on top of them, swinging their sticks, just exercising crowd control.
This was a crowd that probably needed to be controlled.
But that was routine.
Oh, yeah. If the cop was on a horse, he had a nightstick swinging below him.
Well, I mean, what's all that training for? You know what I'm saying?
Robert, our beer-fueled freedom fighter, slipped right past them, right through the open gate. Everybody strolled right in like they were supposed to be there the whole time, with a hangover and a story they'd be telling 40 years later. And then slam, the gate closed. That night, they saw the Rolling Stones for free. No ticket, no plan, a little chaos, and one very determined idiot named Robert who jumped a wall and somehow led the way. And so, with regard to the 1981 Philadelphia Rolling Stones riot, that's the way it was. And we, at MADCAST, have ripped open this story.